Why was this law necessary?
This law is necessary so that drivers can have some benefit of the gig economy. I mean, you have Uber that's worth $50 billion. You have the founder selling his stock for billions of dollars. And the people who are actually driving the vehicles haven't got their fair share. And so what this law says is when you have a company that's as profitable as Uber in terms of their market value, then make sure that the people doing the work, the drivers, are benefiting as well.
But some wonder if this bill was too broadly written. It includes freelance writers and other industries that have nothing to do with Uber and Lyft and Postmates and companies like that. So how do we reconcile that? I have a friend who works in the publishing industry. She's a freelance book editor, and she's fearful that no publisher is going to want to hire her now because they will have to put her on staff to hire her. So did we overdo this?
Well, I think the primary place of the legislation was for the gig economy and Uber and Lyft and Postmates, DoorDash. If there are some niche industries that need exceptions, they can work to reform the bill, and there are certain car routes. But it's disingenuous for Uber to be threatening to sue the constitutionality of this law when they have such extraordinary valuation. And all this bill is saying is you need to recognize overtime law. You can't exploit workers. You need to make sure that they have basic health care benefits.
At some point, though, I mean, yes, maybe they underpay those contract workers, but history suggests economically that those workers come together, maybe find a union that can represent them. In other words, a private market solution to this. Why did the government have to get involved in that? And will you then find yourselves getting involved in other industries that may have pay disparities as well?
Well, that's exactly the point of this law, to allow those workers to unionize. When they're independent contractors, they can't unionize. And, Bill, I agree with you that unionization has allowed workers to claim their part of the economy and to have wages that allow them to be part of the middle class. This bill is saying that if you work in the gig economy, you should have the right to unionize and the right to bargain for fair wages.
Let's be honest. This bill, now you're getting this legal challenge from Uber and Postmates. This is going to be challenged in courts. I mean, is it possible this law will be held up in the meantime?
I think so. I think their argument is very weak. I mean, the argument that they're advancing is that the bill will violate their equal protection rights, and there's no reason to think that Uber or Postmates have been singled out. And I don't think a judge or anyone looking at this is going to be very sympathetic when you have a company come in that's worth $50 billion, where the founder has cashed out for $1 billion, and say that you can't afford to pay workers $15 and provide them overtime benefits and provide them with health care benefits. I mean, the dispute is that the rewards of the technology revolution have gone to a very few. And what we're saying, the legislators were saying, is that let's distribute it. Let's make sure that everyone working in this new economy is benefiting, not just the very top.
Congressman Ro Khanna, 17th District of California. Again, thanks for joining us. Happy New Year.
Bill, Happy New Year. Thank you for having me on.
You bet. So we dig deeper into this war on tech that's ramping up in the Golden State and what it means for companies like Uber and Lyft and Postmates and book publishers, driving company, truck driving companies. CNBC.com technology editor Steve Kovac here. He ignored my question.
I know, I noticed that.
About these other industries that have been caught in the net of this bill. But, I mean, that's a very real problem for some of those industries as well, right?
Exactly. And you brought up a good point last hour during the rapid fire segment, which was this is poorly written in the sense that if you talk to an Uber driver,
rushed.
Right. If you talk to an Uber driver, they're going to tell you one of two things. One, I love the freedom. I love being able to set my own hours. I can end my shift with the press of a button after 2 hours or after 12 hours. It doesn't really matter. Or they tell you, I'm getting stiffed. Here is Travis Kalanick making tons of billions of dollars off my hard work. There are 900,000 of us in the U.S. We can't handle it ourselves. We're not getting the same benefits as full-time Uber employees. And it's not written in such a way that they can choose. That's why there are two Uber drivers on this lawsuit. They want that flexibility and that dynamic kind of job where they can choose their own hours and work when they want.
Also, he misunderstood my question on the legal issue. I asked whether it would be held up, not upheld.
Right, right.
Are we going to see a stay at some point before tomorrow that would keep this law from being enacted until it makes its way through the courts, do you think?
They're going to be fighting it. They're fighting it on multiple fronts. It's not just this lawsuit. So it's unclear if it's going to affect them tomorrow. They're going to do everything they can, probably just ignore it and deal with the consequences later. And the other front they're fighting, along with Lyft, is to have this separate bill. They want to go to the voters and say, let's have the voters decide. Let's do a referendum on this and decide and let the people decide if they should have this kind of bill or not. And that seems to be their two methods of attack against it.
And it remains to be seen what impact, assuming this law then becomes enacted, it's only in California,
right? Not
in the other states where Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all these other companies are doing business right now, and the impact that will have whether you see a decrease in business in California and it all goes elsewhere.
Well, you got to think about California, too. It's a massive market. These companies started in California.
Clearly.
That's where these workers got started. And then you got to think of moving down the line. Postmates wants the IPO. The last thing they want on their S1 is showing that all the costs associated with paying benefits to their vast network of delivery people. The last thing Uber wants, which they keep telling investors, we're going to be profitable by 2021.
Right.
This is going to hurt that.
Might delay that.
Yeah, exactly.